Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Today I wanted to talk about something that's making the rounds, and we need to really be concerned. As I've talked about us winning in a lot of ways, we're still losing in some. And case in point, this gun store in Montana was raided not only by the ATF, but by the IRS. The IRS has since taken all Form 4473s from their site and seized them. Now, why is this concerning? Number one, first, it was the IRS, not the ATF, that took these documents. There is no financial documents or financial information on these documents. It's something we need to look at because this looks very much like the Department of Justice is being weaponized by the Biden administration to go after gun owners. Now, they're saying that this guy who owns the gun store in question is actually wanted for fraud or for tax fraud specifically. I personally believe that taxation is theft, and our federal government likes to steal from us anyway. But where we're going, this looks very much like how I would suspect what this administration would do. If they can't go after you with law or something on the books, they're going to use another agency and try to find something else to go after you for. Now, whether or not this guy committed tax fraud, I don't know. My question would be is, number one, how does the ATF give them enough sway, the IRS specifically, to pull all Form 4473s? Number two, how does pulling all Form 4473s, these are if you don't know what a 4473 is, this is what you'd fill out a background check so you can purchase a firearm through an FFL. An FFL is a federal firearms dealer, anyone who's licensed to sell guns. So, there is no financial information on this. Usually it is personal information about the person purchasing the weapon so that they can fulfill the what they have to do for a background check. So why does the IRS need it? That'd be one. Number two, like I said, if the IRS is doing an investigation, how does this help them with their investigation? Now, the IRS showed up with long guns, body armor, as if they were ready to do something else. They had 20 people show up to do this warrant, to basically excise this warrant and see what was going on with this gun dealer. Now, imagine showing up to work and the ATF is there. You have to shut down business while you deal with what the ATF and the IRS are dealing with. So this person lost an entire day of doing business. As a gun dealer, that's a big deal because you don't usually move a crap ton of guns during a single day of operation. Number two, or I keep putting number one and number two in here, and it really doesn't matter. What it boils down to is thinking about this is like, this is a dramatic overreach of what the federal government can do. This shows that Chevron deference, this is a case, they lost another one of these to a fishery, an EPA verdict, basically. The EPA was basically told that they can't make up arbitrary rules, and the federal government has cited for the plaintiff in saying that the ATF cannot make arbitrary rules. That seems kind of normal for a person like me, who you would think that as a person who's trying to follow the law, you can't change said law anytime you want just to fit whatever needs you want. We're all criminals because that means that they will change the rules in such a way that no matter what you're doing, you are facing legal repercussions. So a gun dealer is trying to be upright and do what he's supposed to do, or she is supposed to do, sell firearms legally, go to the letter of the law, doing background checks and everything else, just to have the IRS show up. And the IRS then seized every one of those 4473s for the entire time that businesses ran. I've heard somewhere upward of 20,000 or 30,000 records that this person, or that the IRS took. Now think about that. Not any of these, or not very few of these, should have any bearing on any federal case they have. And with the federal case that they do have, if it's an IRS case, how are they able to take 4473s who have which have no financial information there? So what are they using this for to make their case? Odds are they're not. That means that they're using this as a means to get at the gun records that the ATF is looking at getting. Now, if you didn't know, it is illegal by federal statute that they have any kind of gun registry. They keep trying to skirt this. Case in point, the FPC, not the FPC, the Mock v. Garland stuff, where they're trying to get us to register your pistol braces, or register guns with pistol braces, I should say. And that is illegal inherently. I mean, there is that one case that's on case statute that says you cannot operate a federal gun registry. Now, why are gun registries bad? You know, for a long time I sat there and I was thinking, well, if I'm not doing anything illegal, it shouldn't matter. I can go ahead and do this. I've just complied with the law. Nowadays, after what we've been through, all of us have been through in the last 5 or 6 years, it doesn't matter. Any federal organization that would weaponize themselves or allow themselves to be weaponized to go after law-abiding citizens just who are exercising their rights is illegal. It's wrong. It's not something that should stand. Now, this happened on a Friday or a Thursday, which means that at least the story dropped on a Friday. The reason why stories drop on Friday are so that they die. The news is not very well known or watched on Friday. Usually everybody's tired of the week. They're ready to go start to wind down and do what they're going to do for the weekend, so they don't pay attention to the news. So this should be something that should be making national rounds. It won't, because we know that the media, the mass media, or the mainstream media, has long since been co-opted. But people like me, people like Mr. Guns and Gear, there's a ton of other people in the spaces right now. I'm just now trying to get into that space where they're talking about this, because this is a big deal. This is a Fourth Amendment breach, in my opinion, because they're using something else to get to something. They're using another entity to get at someone when they didn't have enough to do it on their own. The ATF is notorious for this. You know, we locked up Al Capone for tax evasion, even though we know he did a lot of other things. That's because that's how this federal government works nowadays, is that they're looking at any way that they can get around the law, basically the things that are supposed to protect us, to go after us. And I say this in all facets. You know, if I ever get big enough to where this podcast ranks enough to where people start seeing it in the federal, parlances, this would be a thing I may have to worry about. But when we're watching this stuff come out, where's your line in the sand? Mine was crossed a long time ago, and I'm kind of at that point where I'm not willing to go any farther because of what we're seeing. We're seeing the actual weaponization of alphabet agencies to come after people who aren't doing anything wrong. They're just simply trying to do life. They're trying to live their life. The IRS is a big, giant 600 gorilla. If it comes down on someone, it's probably a bad thing. This is what, like I said, what happened to Al Capone. They didn't get him on, all the stuff he did as a gangster. They went after him for tax evasion because they could. Everyone tries to do their best to pay their taxes or be upright, I think. And it's just a matter of paying $1 less in the wrong place or putting the wrong decimal point in the wrong place that you're looking at something that could get you in a lot of trouble. And we're talking 20 years in jail. So when I saw this, I was just kind of like, well, this is how it starts. First they came after people that spoke up. Then they came after the guns. It's just a chip away that we keep seeing this stuff. And every time I think we're on that cusp of winning and the federal government will actually heed and come to, something like this comes up and makes me think that lets me know that doesn't matter. We're at that place now where peaceful noncompliance is the way to go, and to step away and honestly just live your life the best way you can. Whether you comply with the law or not doesn't matter, because it seems like they're going to go after you no matter what. It's a sad, sad day to figure that out again. If you're a little bit of a status like I was, and I still, I guess, secretly hold some of those, because I keep thinking that there's got to be some sort of check on this government that stops this. And, this is the type of thing that Trump basically started with that executive fiat thing to get rid of bump stocks. After the shooting in Las Vegas, he was like, take the guns first. Let's go after everything. Let's fix this because we can fix this, without having to go through Congress. That's not okay. There never should be a day where any federal entity or any person that's in power, president or not, should be able to exercise that much power on the American people that we're losing our rights. And we're at that point now where it looks very clear and blatant that the Second Amendment is for those that actually don't comply, that are willing to say that we're done. And to be blunt, that's kind of where we need to be in a weird way. We're at that point in society where you're going to have to draw a hard line in the sand. I've said that. That hard line in the sand, where is it for you? Was it locking down to where they almost made you lose your job? Was it you losing your job? Was it the fact that they regulated you out of existence, like some of my oil field friends here in southwest New Mexico, or southwest of U.S., northwest New Mexico? It seems that the federal government is going after people if they are not willing to toe the agenda line, whatever that is. I wouldn't necessarily put it as woke. It looks like an anti-human agenda, in that we keep seeing more and more of this growing your own food, being a prepper, being anyone who's for freedom and individualism is not acceptable in today's society. And I'm kind of not going to let that happen in any way I can. I am the type of person that will form the resistance. I won't do it in a very vocal way, in that I just simply won't comply. And I hope the rest of my friends, family, all of us that are Americans finally realize where we're at. Like, share, subscribe, be great.